everybody, welcome to Adobe Live. Welcome back to Adobe Live. If you've been here Tuesday or Wednesday, or that would be yesterday, we are live. We're here in San Francisco in the Adobe offices in the Adobe studio, and we are on day 3 of graphic design, and kicking things off once again is Ronnie Alley. Ronnie, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. You had a good couple days so far?
Oh yeah, it's been so much fun.
Awesome. So for those of you who are new and just watching this for the first time, you can, of course, participate in the chat. You can ask questions. You can ask Ronnie questions. You can ask Ronnie what his favorite food is, which will come in handy later. And you can, of course, stay tuned for chances to win prizes. If you are somewhat inclined to do a design, you can participate in the design challenge. So the rules for the design challenge are literally right above the chat. You just click the challenge tab and read all about it and download the template. Today's challenge is going to be creating a restaurant menu. And like I said, there is an InDesign template for that. And once you create your menu, you will use the InDesign Publish Online feature to submit your entry. So all that information is available in the challenge tab above the chat, so you guys can read all about it and find out more. So Ronnie, you've been doing some logo design, you've been doing some stationery, some rebranding.
Yep.
For those of you who are just joining us today for the first time, give a quick recap on what you've done so far.
Okay, so working on my rebranding, I started with the logo, which is all this here. That then transitioned into doing some business cards, which was this there. And then yesterday, I created this collage type thing to be more of like a attention-grabbing focal piece for the stationery system. And
You
then
got a lot of love for that yesterday. That was awesome. Yep.
And then expanded that into like letterheads and envelopes and business cards, and yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. So today I'll be working on my resume, building off the letterhead that I did yesterday, and
you'll give them some tips along the way on what makes a good resume for a graphic design person, right?
Yep.
And I see some familiar faces in the chat. Hello, Larry. Hello, Jan. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Hassan, Cynthia. Let's see, who else do I see? Jean. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back if you've been here this week, and if not, welcome for the first time. So you're going to kick things off with a resume. Before you even start adding things to the resume or designing the resume, if I'm new to graphic design and I want a shot at getting a job as a graphic designer, what should be on my resume? Let's talk about the kinds of things that should be on it before you even start making yours.
Okay. Well, obviously you need your education and work history.
What if I don't have any education? What if I'm self-taught?
Well, then I guess you say that.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe if you're self-taught but you did like some classes, like night classes or something, or did like a workshop or been to a couple lectures.
So what you're
really
saying is the education
you.
Part is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're trying to get a job, the employer would probably want to know that.
Okay,
so.
good. What else?
Aside from work history, you might want to put some, like, if you're doing extracurricular activities, or like if you're a part of any organizations, like networking stuff, like AIGA if you're in the US, or anything like that.
Okay. Is it a one-page resume no matter what? Is it a link to your portfolio? Do you put design examples into it? Do you design a resume like the rest of your brand?
Yes.
How does that all work?
I do make the resume consistent with the rest of the brand, just because when you send stuff, it's usually like a cover letter, resume, work samples, but the resume itself, I think, should be just one page.
Okay, so the resume is about you, but then you can, if you're sending for a job, you would include either links or work samples.
If they ask for it. If
they
don't ask for it, I wouldn't.
Okay.
But I would include a link to like my website in that instance.
And we can get into portfolio websites too. We can talk a little bit about that. Well, actually, let's talk about it now.
All right.
I'm a photographer, so I look at it from a photography standpoint. I know what makes a good portfolio website. But from a graphic design standpoint, is it you're putting samples of work you've done for clients? Is there like a limit? Like you don't put 100 things, you put maybe 10 or 20.
Yep.
Is it maybe if you didn't have a lot of client work, do you make up projects like
Yeah.
that you've done on, just to show proof of concept? So tell us about that. Like what's your rules for showing your work on your website?
I definitely keep it to like 15 maximum
Okay.
projects.
15 maximum projects.
If things start getting a little old, like 2+ years old, I might take it down, replace it with something else. Definitely don't. Me personally, I don't have any text on my website. It's just the images. Well, there's like titles for every project, but then I don't have like any explanations or anything, just because when people go there, I'll usually probably talk to them in person about the project, so I don't want to give too much away on the website. And then, so I get to tell them in person, as opposed to the website telling them everything.
Got it.
But and I'm totally cool with making up your own projects if you don't have enough work in it. I did that.
Okay.
I still do that. If I'm bored and I'm like, I have a really interesting concept for a winery or something, I'll do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, from a photography standpoint, and I like what you said about if something feels old or has been there for a while, it might be time to replace it with something new. What I usually tell people from a photography standpoint is pick a number, 10, 20 images, whatever it is in any category. And once you hit that number, let's say it's 10, in order to put something new in that portfolio, it doesn't ever become 11. It's if something new is going in, it has to be strong enough to knock something else out.
Right.
And if it's not strong enough to knock something else out, then it doesn't go in because it's not as good or better, or it's not better than what's already there. So I think that's how your portfolio evolves because it keeps getting better because you keep replacing the work with better work. And if it's not better, then it doesn't go in.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Totally.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's let you do it.
Okay. So I have my old resume pulled up here, which I will basically just copy all the information from and then bring it into the new one. So start with this grid I set up.
All right, people are saying good info. Let me get a notepad.
Okay, so with the resume, there's like 3 levels.
And Mitch is asking again how many pieces should be included in the portfolio. I think you said like 15.
Ish.
15-ish.
Yeah, you don't want to like bore the person that's going to be looking or like give them like overload of information.
Yeah, they don't want to
or
overwhelm.
anything.
You just want to give them enough sense that you have design skills, but not overwhelmed by the number of projects because it's not about quantity as much as it is about quality.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
All right, so you went to Philadelphia University.
I did, which is now called Jefferson University.
When did you graduate?
May 2016.
May 2016.
Yeah. So I'm taking what I used to have, and then I actually just found. Do you remember I was kind of struggling yesterday to find a serif font that that I liked? Yeah, I remember what it is now that I have it from my old stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely keep using that. So yeah, I'm trying to just make everything consistent with the new stuff. So I'm like changing the fonts and everything.
So Anthony's saying what he found challenging about building a resume was only having school experience and one job that wasn't related to graphic design.
I was in the same boat, and I've still put it in there. And in that case, I kind of really worked on my portfolio to make it stronger than the resume, and hoping that they'll see my skills more in my work than as opposed to just looking at the resume.
And really, it's whether it's your education or your work experience, whichever one is more you think is stronger, that's the one you really emphasize.
Mm-hmm. Cool, that looks good.
And people are saying, can they just copy and paste your resume and use it? Never ever lie on your resume. It's especially about something that can be easily proven that you didn't go to that school. You didn't work at that company.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people lose very prominent jobs because they lied on their resume.
What?
Yeah.
You should never lie about anything.
Yeah, don't lie on your resume. It may help you get the job, but when it comes back to bite you, it will hurt.
What color is this? Oh, okay, cool.
So Nadia's asking, what was your first job?
My first job out of school was at an architecture firm called JKRP Architects, and I was the in-house designer on the marketing team. And I actually had that job until about 3 weeks ago, and now I have a new job at this place called Pixel Parlor in Philly. And it's a pretty small design studio that tries to work mostly with non-for-profits. And it's been a great learning experience, learning a lot of new stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Larry's saying, what about your portfolio? I'm not sure what you mean, Larry. We talked about portfolio. We talked about including it as a link and including samples if they ask for them. Specifically, what is the question? And Nadia's saying, describing myself is hard. The about me part, who am I? I think that'll get easier over time, especially as you do more.
Yeah, I agree.
Daniel's got a pretty great boss himself.
Yeah, I really miss my first job I had, but the new one's been great too, so.
And Richard's saying, talk about how you were in architecture first. We had that conversation.
Hey, Rich. We went to school
Oh, okay,
together.
there you go. Well,
yeah.
We did talk about that on day one.
Mm-hmm, yeah, but I was a architect major for the first 2 years of school. It was awesome. It was the first time I really experienced design because I'm from a pretty small town in the South, and I had never really had to think in a design kind of way, and architecture was my first step into that. And so I still feel like I have a lot of the principles that I learned from architecture and what I do now. So yeah.
Okay, and saw a couple questions there I wanted to get to. Would you put a personal statement on it? Before we even answer that, Gilliam's asking, what about an interactive PDF as a portfolio? I would stray away from interactive PDF, only from the standpoint of interactive PDF was great back in the day when everyone was using the Adobe Reader. Now that people can open up a PDF in their operating system or on their phone or on their tablet or whatever where they may not be using the Adobe Reader, the interactive parts may not show, they may not work, they may not be there. So you'll get an inconsistent experience based on what the people are opening that interactive PDF in. If it's Adobe Reader, great, but if you can't guarantee that they're gonna look at it in Adobe Reader, then they may miss parts of your resume that they just because of whatever they're browsing and they don't see it. Because not all PDF browsers or viewers honor all the interactive features. So I would stay away from that if I were you.
That's a good point. I didn't even know that.
Now, I didn't say you couldn't have an interactive link to a web version that works great in all browsers, but from an interactive PDF standpoint, the results could be mixed if they're not using the Adobe Reader to look at it. So what's an alternative to interactive PDF? Interactive InDesign document. Just like the design challenge users publish online, you can make interactivity in InDesign, and that would show in all browsers. So that would be the next evolution to do that. So design your interactivity in InDesign, publish it online, provide the link. They can even download it as a PDF without the interactivity necessarily, but they would be able to at least view it online that way. How important is it to have a marketing background when applying for a design agency?
Depends on the agency. If they do a lot of marketing, then it'd probably be a good idea to have that. Otherwise, I don't think it's totally necessary.
Yeah, Melissa, back in the day, we would have said, for the best experience, open this in the Adobe Reader. But today, you're really, taking the chance that you're telling someone, hey, in order to look at my thing, you need to download and install this piece of software if you didn't already have it. That may or may not go over well. So I just wouldn't take that chance. You guys can do what you want, but I'm explaining some of those limitations you might hit. You try and use a technology that you cause the viewer to jump through hoops to do. So if you stick to a standard, like a standard web browser, HTML5, shows the interactivity, they don't have to do anything special, that's what I would say would win every time. Yeah, Nadia, I do promote the Adobe Reader. I just can't guarantee that they'll have it. And if I'm sending something out to someone, I can't make them use it. So that's the point. So someone's asking, were Adobe programs the only option for you, or did you try anything else and made a choice?
Who, me? For this stuff?
Well, period, just in your design.
I don't really know anything besides Adobe, I guess.
Nope, there's your answer.
Yeah. It's kind of just like the industry standard, so.
Lots of good questions. Trey's asking, would you suggest sending a written letter to a company you want to work for?
That could be pretty cool. Not a lot of people do that now, and definitely sets you apart. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it would hurt.
Yeah. Unless your handwriting's terrible.
Yeah.
But
Well, he didn't necessarily say handwritten. He just said written.
oh, true.
What's your standpoint on using color? Or what's your stance on using color usage in your cover letter or CV?
It
CV.
depends on how much you want to spend on printing costs. If you're printing it yourself, it might be best to like buy maybe colored paper and then print black on that, or if you're really wanting color, or like getting a stack of like your letterheads made, and if there's color on that, then only printing on black on the front, which is what I do. Yeah, it depends. I don't think it would hurt.
And what about the different kinds of formats of the portfolio, like if it's printed or digital? I would imagine most people aren't going to send a printed portfolio with their resume.
Yeah.
Unless it's something like you're really like trying to hone in this one particular job and you want to take the expense of sending all your portfolio pieces with it, then I would say stick to digital. And Ronnie, you can chime in on that if you want.
Yeah, I agree. Digital's easier. I would assume that wherever you're applying would have a computer to view it. And yeah. It just makes sense, I guess.
Now, on the interview, of course, you can take in the printed pieces and show them if
yeah.
you want. Yeah, physically if you were there in person. But as far as just mailing in a bunch of printed work, I probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I've actually noticed on a couple of the interviews that I've gone on that the actual physical portfolio has more of an impact than like, say, I'm displaying work on an iPad. Like, I've pretty much only interviewed at graphic design agencies, but I don't know, we like to feel the paper that like the work is printed on and everything, and it just like, it's more of a whole experience, I guess.
And what about a personal statement? That question keeps coming up.
I don't have one. I don't really know what I would say in a personal statement, but if you feel strongly enough about it to where you want a statement, I don't see that being an issue.
Okay, so how does one apply for graphic design jobs that require knowledge of HTML, Java coding? Shouldn't there be a line between creativity and coding?
Yes. The place I work at now, there's an interactive designer and then a developer. And so the designer just designs everything. He doesn't code much. He might have very basic coding. And then the developer will take his designs and code it. So there's a bit of a separation, but it also depends on your where you're working. They might not have it like that.
What do you think would be a good, Jonas is asking, what do you think would be a good, easy to get summer job for a non-graduate student or self-taught graphic designer? I would think well, go ahead.
I'm not sure.
A lot of shops during busy times look for freelancers
Oh, yeah.
and apprenticeships. So I would say those would probably be the first couple choices.
Right. And if you have a strong portfolio and you send it to someone, but they know that you're lacking the experience, but they still really want you, they'll take you in and train you on the job too. Because like they're investing in you, so they're going to put their time and effort into making you better so you can work with them the best you can.
Mm-hmm. Are you just getting that info from your previous resume and relaying it out?
Yep. Yeah, it actually looks almost very similar to my last resume, but that's okay.
So someone's asking how much time left in the design challenge. You have about 70 minutes. So an hour and 9 minutes now.
I'm excited to see these today. Should be pretty cool.
And Frederick's saying, I was wondering about a resume/portfolio book. Again, this is all if you feel that it will set you apart and you're willing to pay the cost to have that printed and mailed out every time. I don't think it can hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good question. Nadia's saying portfolio landscape versus portrait for the portfolio.
Depends on whatever you feel best. Landscape definitely is less common, so you could stand out in that way if you want to do landscape. But one thing that they warned us about in school was that whenever you have a landscape portfolio, if you're having an interview on a really small desk and like you're opening it up landscape, it might be like too big for the table. So that's something to think about.
Something I would have never thought.
Yeah, it's a little random, but yeah.
The table's too small. I brought my own table. It's in the truck. Let me bring it up.
Cool. So this is pretty much. Whoop.
Now, what if you are? I'll ask it from a different perspective because you're fairly recent graduate, so and you have your experience and great design skills. But what if it's someone who's been around for a long time and they'd like to have a lot of experience, a lot of jobs, whatever. Still want to keep the resume to one page. So do you then just eliminate the older stuff?
Not if it's something that pertains to where you're going. Like if you're applying to a marketing place or an ad agency, but you've worked in like small studios as well. Like if you have experience in everything, I would just hone it in to what is relevant to where you're going.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if you didn't have a good experience at a job, I wouldn't include that, even though.
Say that again?
If you didn't have like a good experience at a job,
Don't include that.
I wouldn't include that. Just because like they'll ask you about your job and you don't want to be like a negative Nancy during an interview or anything. So.
And nowadays, I wonder if it's which is better to have experienced a lot of different jobs where you maybe didn't stay as long, or is it look better when you've been in one place for a long time?
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's more of an employer question. Like,
Yeah.
What do you deem more valuable, or does it matter?
Yeah.
All right, and Anita says, I've been around for a long time, and one-page resumes are favored by HR, interviewers. Anything longer usually gets binned.
Oh, wow.
You don't want to get binned.
Yeah. This,
So that means if you have to keep it to one page and you got more than one page, keep that one page relevant.
anymore. Okay, so I think I'm gonna jump back and make another one of those collages just because.
Okay.
Finish this up.
Well, okay, so you finish that up, but before you jump into the collage, let's talk about this.
All right.
So what made you go the 2-column route? Like what? So talk about your ideas for why you did it this way.
Okay. So
And what size type is that? What font is that? Tell us all about it.
All right. So there's 3 levels of hierarchy to this. Usually there could be like 4 in some of these things. So all the main talking points, education, accolades, skills, activities, and experience, that's bigger than everything else just because it separates it into groups. And then under that is like a subhead for each of the different things within those groups. And then under that is the body. The body copy, I think, is at 8 point. And then
8 point. Okay, so small.
Yeah, we gotta fit it on one page. So.
Right. 4-point type. I'm sending my resume with a magnifying glass just in case.
Yeah, and then the subheads are at 9 point, and then the big things are at 9.2, or 9 point as well.
See, I would have been afraid to go down that low, so I'm happy to hear you say that.
Okay. Yeah, and then so I have it broken up into education, accolades, and skills, and on one side, and then experience and activities on the other. Mostly because the experience and activities, they'll have the most writing to them. Actually, I need to rework this. So they're on one side, so they have more space, and then all the other stuff is usually just like a list, so it doesn't take up much width. So I didn't think that it should take up the same amount of space on the page. And also, I like to have a lot of...
And even though there's a lot of information on it, even at a smaller type, I like the amount of white space you have around it because it doesn't feel crowded. It doesn't feel like I went to the margin as close as I could to print it without it being cut off. It's like taking up every square inch of the paper.
Yep.
Because it still feels like you've got plenty of room if you want to add something else.
Actually, I should get closer to this. I can barely see that. That's good.
Ronnie, what is the smallest size of the font that you can use for a resume?
For a resume, I would say 8.
So you are at the small size.
Yeah. Anything smaller than that just gets really small, and not everyone can read super fine print. But I have used smaller fonts on business cards because they're typically smaller. But
now, does it matter, or is there a preference, I should say, for serif versus sans serif when you start getting down to 8 point?
It depends. I feel like serifs are a little bit easier to read than sans serifs. So I typically use them for most body copy. And they're typically smaller too. But I mean, I think people can still read a sans serif.
Shouldn't the whole thing just be in all caps and fully justified?
No. Cool. Are there any other questions about resumes before we move on?
Craft your resume to suit the post on the offer. Don't ramble or go into unnecessary details. So that's all good advice. Nice format on the resume, Chris says. Different resume for every job opening. So do you agree with that?
To an extent.
Like, do you customize a resume for everything you're going to send it out for?
I wouldn't completely redesign the resume every time, but the information that's in it, sure. If you have enough to fill up multiple different kinds of resumes. Yeah, but I wouldn't like redesign my resume every time.
Melissa says she likes how super clean it looks.
Thanks. Is the paper gray or accident? It's gonna be gray. Danilo. Cool.
Now, did you just draw a gray box behind that for the color? Okay.
For now, but when I go to print it, I'll delete that box.
All right. So one, just because he's doing this in InDesign, so one of the old InDesign tricks is that if you want to simulate the paper that it's going to be printed on, you can just draw a box and put that color behind it, or you could actually change the color of paper in InDesign. Because right now InDesign defaults to the color of paper being white, but you can change it to whatever color you want. And then that way, every page you add will be that color automatically.
I didn't know that. Learn new stuff every day.
That's it. That one goes back. That one I had to reach way back in my memory for that. Hang on, let me see if I can find one thing real quick.
I always just thought they called white paper.
No, because that's why it's called paper instead of white.
Yeah.
Is because you can change it to be different. I'm just trying to remember where. But keep talking.
Oh,
Keep talking while I look.
has anyone else got something to say? I agree with Kevin that your portfolio gets you more stuff than your resume does, work-wise.
I agree.
Yeah. Do you find it difficult to design for yourself? Daryl, I do find it a little difficult just because it's like you're branding yourself. And even though you know yourself really well, if you put yourself too much in a box of what your stuff looks like, then people will only think that you can do that kind of style. So yeah, it can definitely be difficult. And you also want to like live up to what you think you can do, and that is pressure on yourself. But yeah.
Okay. It's easier than I thought. Can you switch to me for a minute, Paco? So I've got an InDesign document open. And if we look at the color palette or swatches palette, that's why, certain things engineers have done over the years are for a reason. So that's why this never says white. It just says paper, meaning that's the color of the paper that you're working on. If you ever want to change that to like he's mimicking a specific gray, just double click on that swatch. Then you can change it to whatever you want.
Crazy.
So if I wanted to make that more of a gray, just change it to the gray I want, put the values in, click OK, and now paper is gray. So every new page I create will have that gray color to it.
That's awesome.
Yep, so
Good to know.
another tip.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. And again, one more thing. There is a difference. So if you want that gray to print, then you need to do it the way Ronnie did it. Do it as an actual gray rectangle or box. Because changing the color of the paper the way I did it as a swatch doesn't mean it's going to print gray. It's just going to print on whatever paper you put in your printer. So the graphics and the text will be whatever color they are, but paper is whatever you're printing on. So if you want to actually print gray, then you need to make gray. And Richard just asked that question. Does it actually try to print that gray color? No, it doesn't. Not the way I did it. It does it if you actually make a gray box.
Cool.
And Amira's asking for the challenge of the day. You can actually click on challenge right above the chat, and you can see the challenge for today, which is actually creating a restaurant menu. All right.
Nice.
Looks good.
Thank you. Yeah, and I actually tweaked a little bit of the letterhead while I was doing this. I shifted this over, so then I went back to my cover letter, which is right here, shifted it over, tweaked it a little bit just to make it all consistent. And yeah, doing this is kind of like a evolution. Like every time I do some step, I have to like go back and tweak it all and make it better so it all like matches and everything. But yeah.
What type of fonts will you prefer to make designs to make more? Okay, so like, is there specific fonts you prefer, or it just depends on the project?
Yeah, it depends.
We all have our favorites, but it usually depends on the project.
Yeah, depends on the client, depends on the project, depends on what kind of thing you're designing, what that should be, all that stuff.
Awesome.
All right, so this is
All right, so what are you going to work
collage.
on now? You're going to create
I'm gonna make
one of
another
these?
one of these. Yep. This is collage 1.
So for those of you who missed it yesterday, the shapes that Ronnie used in this final design were actually people he drew by hand on black paper and then cut them out. And we used Adobe Capture CC on iOS or Android. He used it on his iPhone to capture those shapes and turn them into vectors, which he could then use in Illustrator as vectors or place in Photoshop as smart objects.
Yep. Gonna start with a blank slate.
So the shapes were added to a CC library from Capture, so that way they appear. Once he captured them on his phone, they automatically appeared on his computer.
Yeah, and that was awesome. I'm definitely gonna have to do that forever now. Like, it was so easy.
No more scanners.
Yeah, no more scanners.
And Kevin's asking to use Kyle Webster's brushes in Photoshop.
I'm not familiar with those.
So that'd be a no. Kyle Webster is a famous brush designer.
Oh, cool.
And actually, we acquired his brushes, and now we give them away as part of Creative Cloud.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check them out. I really don't do too much like illustration, like actual drawing with brushes and stuff. Although I have started at my new job, but yeah, so I'm not too familiar with like much of that stuff.
Now, yesterday you had different variations for the business cards, and different in most cases you created 3 different variations of like the letterhead, 3 variations of the business card, 3 variations of the stationery, but 1 version of the resume.
Yeah, just because we established the system
about
already, so.
But in real life, if you weren't on the stream, would you just stick to that one, or would you have 3 different designs that you might pick from?
I'll probably keep working on this for
tweaking it?
another like 5 months before I'm like totally sold on it.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm never satisfied with anything. So even my last brand system that I have for myself, I was working on forever. I like updated it every couple months.
All right, and you got a question. Do you create any brushes or plugins or anything for your designs?
No.
Okay.
No. So now I'm going to rasterize all these, lock the transparencies.
And Graham says his senior class was obsessed with Kyle Webster. It's not a bad thing to be obsessed with. Kyle's a cool guy.
Yeah, I feel like I need to look him up. What is that?
So those are just remnants from the scan that we didn't clean up and capture.
Yep.
Now, is that one thing in InDesign? This is one graphic? Or you're in Photoshop?
I'm in Photoshop now.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just easier for me
Is
to...
that in a library yet?
These shapes?
The colors?
No. I didn't do that.
But it's a layer. Here, I want to try something since we have time.
Okay.
Go ahead and show it again.
Hold on just a second. Okay.
All right. Go ahead and show your color palette again. I just want to try something. Add that color palette because it's a separate layer, right?
Yep.
Select it and add it to your library. Not the foreground color. I want to add it as a graphic.
Do I have to select it maybe?
Maybe. Huh, that is a separate layer. I'm wondering why that's not adding it.
It has a little cloud symbol.
Oh,
so
well, you know what?
maybe it
Just
is
here,
already-
just use your move tool. Deselect it. Use your move tool and just drag it into the. Or is it already there?
Oh, it is.
Okay, you can let go. Scroll and see if you can see it there in the library. Okay, there it is. Now head over to InDesign.
Okay.
I wonder if this will work. And just place it on the page anywhere. So go to your CC library. Yep. Scroll down and just drag it onto the page, and then place it. Now, in InDesign, there is a color theme tool. It's actually either right here or under the eyedropper. Color theme, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then just click on that.
Oh.
And okay, so what that did, so he had created these colors as just different swatches from his mood board.
Mm-hmm.
And then made it a Photoshop layer, which is great. And he's keeps opening it and using the eyedropper and sampling it from it. But we can actually make swatches from that using the color theme tool in InDesign. So now if you click the library icon on the right,
This one?
yep, that will save it, if you scroll up, as those colors. So now, whether you're in Photoshop, InDesign, or Illustrator, he can actually pick and use those colors whenever he wants.
That's awesome.
So just another...
Cool.
When I see people working and doing things that I know could be a little easier,
Yeah.
try to show
Do you know if there's a way to have, like, if I could add the white and the black to this?
There is. So here's what I want you to do. Grab because the theme is it's limited to what, 5?
5. Mm-hmm.
So he's got more than 5. So you could eliminate, like only do it with 5, so that way it's only using 5, or B, use the regular eyedropper and sample the ones that are missing. Like that one. Oh, what's it doing there? There's a graphic, eyedropper, values based on... that's fine.
That's
Click
fine,
OK.
yeah. Okay.
And now that you have that color, go back to the library and add just that color. So there you go. Add fill color. No, yep, there we go. Perfect.
Cool.
And then do the other ones that are
Do I get
missing.
to that one? No.
Now, it'll be
Okay.
there to be
Yeah,
chosen.
That's fine. Cool. And then add fill color. Cool.
Those are the only 2 that were missing, or was it?
Oh, no, there's this one too.
Yeah, there's one more. Should be 8 altogether. Perfect. Now, if you
Nice.
switch back to Photoshop, you'll have them as color swatches.
Oh.
And if you scroll up in the library, they're there.
Wow, check that out. Cool. Okay. Oh. I don't need that. So how do I... Okay, now I want to use this orange. Oh.
Yeah.
All you have to do is click on it.
There you go.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
Like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, color themes in libraries, of course, graphics in libraries, graphic styles, or I'm sorry, type styles in libraries, paragraph styles, any of that stuff can be added. So you can just click on it and use it over and over again.
Good to know.
Victoria Pavlos in the house. The Photoshop artist is here. Tiana has made an appearance as well.
Hi, guys. Now we'll go to this and add some textures.
Yeah, one day we're going to get all of those into the library
One day.
separately.
One day.
Not today, but one day. Get all those in, then you can drag them in as you need them.
Yeah.
Christopher Ray says, oh, dang, time to start using library swatches. Libraries are awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
Libraries are awesome for more than just colors, lots of different things, because they're consistent across the applications.
Let's see like that.
Okay, good question. Anita's saying, can I ask you, well, when do you use Photoshop and when do you use InDesign?
I use Photoshop a lot if I'm doing stuff like this that's like kind of illustrative but not vector based. Or if I need to do something really quickly, I can work pretty fast in Photoshop. InDesign is more for typography and things that are going to be printed eventually. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I have another idea for these as well. Do you have, do you sketch these in your sketchbook?
On a regular piece of paper, yeah.
Do you have it?
No.
No.
Yeah.
We're gonna have another learning opportunity.
Oh man. Would it be using capture?
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be using capture. I could probably do it from the screen if you zoomed in on it, but it would be using capture and converting one of those into a brush. And then you could actually use the brush to paint them in different sizes, especially with pressure, if you have a tablet.
That sounds cool.
Heidi says, quick, sketch something. Heidi wants to see you do it anyway. Did you bring the pen?
No, not
No,
this. Yeah, sorry guys. Next time.
Yeah, Tony's saying, just print those out and then use capture. That would work if there was a printer handy. I did think about that. Actually, like I said, I could just do it from the screen if I really had to.
Do you want to?
Yeah, when you have a moment, you want to break.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to interrupt the flow.
Yeah, we can do it after I finish this guy.
All right, while you're doing that, let me start to look at the submissions that are starting to come in. You guys have got about 43 minutes left for the design challenge.
Cool. Okay, so are you ready to try this capture thing?
Yeah, I didn't know you'd be ready. That's it.
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. Let me get my phone ready. Let me get Photoshop open. Let's get a blank page going here. All right, and all right. Let's. Can you select one of those and put it on a blank artboard or blank canvas all by itself?
Yeah.
All right, while you're doing that, while you capture ready. Okay, cool. And let's go to my Adobe folder. All right. Paco, can you switch to me for a sec? Perfect. All right, so folks, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Adobe Capture CC. And once I'm in Capture, this is the stuff we kind of captured. Ooh, no, not that. Okay, that's the stuff we captured yesterday. And so I'm just going to hit the plus sign again to bring up the camera. And we're just going to get close to a screen there. Hang on, let me extend my cord out here so we can get it at the right perspective. There we go. And once I go ahead and snap that, got it. Okay, so what I can do, oh, you know what? Hold on, let me back up. Let me do that one more time. So right now I'm in shapes, and this is what we used yesterday to capture these shapes. But what I want to do first is switch over to brushes. There we go. So now let's do a capture. Got it. Yeah, okay. I love it when it gives me a tutorial.
Oh, whoa.
Okay, so again, it's walking me through it. So I can basically choose, and it's already starting to give me an interesting brush there.
Yeah, totally.
So I can choose what is the brush by just zeroing in on maybe specific parts of it. I can say, nope, I want all of it. And you notice that there is currently a body in the middle, a tail on the left side, and a head on the other side. So that's if you were going to use it where you wanted like to use the middle to stretch. So the tail would always be the same, the head would always be the same, but the body would continue to stretch or repeat out. So that's one way to do it. So let's say that we do something like that. Okay. Next, I can go to styles, and I can choose what kind of brush it's going to be. So the last style that I used was for Photoshop Sketch. For Photoshop Sketch. If I wanted these to be Photoshop brushes, I could do that and then choose the kind that I want. So maybe something more artistic like that. Or they can even be vector brushes inside of Illustrator.
Awesome.
So let's say I just want to use this kind of scattered pattern brush here. And then we go to presets. And then this is where I can kind of mess with how it's going to work or how it's going to flow. So this is probably where I would drill down onto the individual items to maybe make a brush, but let's just make something interesting anyway. And you've got spacing, so you can just use them as patterns and space them apart or
This is
put
crazy.
them together. Yeah, it's just amazing how you can make this as a brush.
Yeah.
You can choose how much jitter and scatter, and whether it's on both axes or just one. You can control the angle of the items, the flow of the items to make them thicker, thinner, so forth and so on, the size of the items that you captured. And then, of course, you can refine it to where you can say, you know what, here, let's do this. I can make them more grayscale, less grayscale, and I can add and subtract and erase different pieces of it. So once I'm done, I can save that as a brush in my Adobe Live library. And if I switch back to my brush, to my Adobe Live library here, and let's twirl up graphics, patterns, templates, text, and materials. Here comes brushes. Okay, so now I have a brush. And if I switch to my brush tool, there we go, and then click on that brush, I can either click them as I need them or scatter and paint them as I need them.
Very cool.
So for you, since you do this on a regular basis, the kind of drawings that you do and sketches that you do, you can have a ball, a field day.
Yeah.
Just creating these.
Totally.
So like I said, for what you're doing here, every time you need one of these, you just click and whatever color you have selected, wherever you want to put them, whatever layer you want to put them on,
Cool.
you can have them.
That's awesome.
So capture more
Yeah.
than just shapes and colors.
Yeah. Wow.
All right.
And this app is free?
And it's free.
That's crazy.
On both iOS and Android.
Cool. I forgot what I was doing. My mind is so blown.
Well, I just see that, and I was like, all of that could be brushes and shapes and library. You could be pulling them in and all these different ways.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to utilize that in the near future.
All right. Yes, Kelly, free. Magic price. Hang on, I'm gonna have a little fun here. see questions still coming up on the brushes. There, I still have it. Hold on. Let's create one more. Second. All right, I'm bringing up another free application. Just a second here. Let me get signed into it. All right, let's create a new document, and I don't really care the size. What if I don't want the tutorial? There we go. Okay. To delete this layer. Oh, let me get my phone back up. All right, how's it going?
Good.
Good?
Nope, just trucking along.
All right, want to have a little fun for a second?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so brushes obviously can be made from anything that you can capture with your phone. And Photoshop and Illustrator brushes have still work the same way they work for years. They can usually scatter something or stretch something. But Photoshop Sketch, which is a free application for both iOS and Android, allows you to create a brush that is literally of the photograph that you took. And remember I showed that body, which is in the middle, the tail, and the head. So that means, I made a Rufus brush. For those of you who know Rufus, he's our manager here. He's a little fun to work with. And so I can, in Photoshop Sketch, I could, let's just get things like that.
What?
So I could basically, using the middle of him as the body, and of course his feet as the tail and his head as the head, you can do some pretty
that's
cool,
really
weird things with people, or objects, or animals, or whatever you want as your brushes. And I can see you having a ball
Yeah,
with this.
oh my God, totally.
Yeah. So, and then of course, since you can't do this as a brush in Photoshop and maintain all the colors because that's just not the way Photoshop brushes work, you can, however, once you're done with this in Photoshop Sketch, sync it and upload it to the Creative Cloud so that it opens in Photoshop. So I can say, open this in my desktop applications, Photoshop CC, and that will create a PSD layered file with those 3 items on it. And once it syncs up, and here it comes, it's opened in Photoshop now. So I've got those, got those layers to play
so
with,
funny.
or that layer to play with. And then I can do anything I want with it in Photoshop. So you can make some pretty cool things using Photoshop Sketch, another free application which works hand in hand with Capture for your brushes.
Cool. Definitely have to utilize that.
Just a side distraction while Ronnie's working.
I saw someone ask a question about if there was any my thought process behind these shapes. It depends on the project. Sometimes it's completely arbitrary. I'm just
Okay.
like, I want to make some weird shapes, so I try to go as organic as possible, and also have some standard like shapes or squares, circles, and triangles and stuff. But it depends. I did one that was all flowers once, and I was like drawing these really rudimentary like child flowers and cutting them out, which was pretty fun. But yeah, there's not too much of a process behind it. I don't like to like hone myself in.
So you guys got about 30 minutes for the design challenge. And we're gonna also do another giveaway of,
What are we giving away
I don't know, is it socks or is it pillow or is it what? Our decision. Okay, you decide. Or Ronnie, you pick. We're giving away socks or a pillow?
Let's give away a pillow.
Which one?
Photoshop.
Photoshop pillow it is. All right, so it is time for giveaway hype in the chat. So chat it up, hype it up in the chat. We gave away socks yesterday, so it is time for the Photoshop pillow.
It's really comfy, guys. It's a nice pillow.
Photoshop pillow hype.
Yeah, where's the hype, guys?
There's a 2-second delay on the hype.
Oh.
Pillow, 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 yes, hype, hype, hype. I like socks.
There we go. Cool.
Well, if you're chosen and you're really, like you really want the socks instead of the pillow, just when Adobe Live contacts you, just say, I prefer socks. We'll let you choose. Give me that cute pillow. Hyper hype, hypity hype.
Nice.
People love the socks. Wow, I would have thought people would want the pillow instead. Okay, you'll choose. If you want the socks instead, if you win, you can choose the socks. People want to make those bold fashion statements at work.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be me.
Kick back
If I
on
get
their
some of those
desk.
socks too.
Pillow, pillow, pillow. Irony. Oh, hang on, let me look and see if we have a winner yet. Coming to me through the magic of the internet. Let's see if we have a winner. All right. Oh, Gus is typing. And the winner is of your choice of the Photoshop pillow, I guess, or the Illustrator pillow, or the socks. Your choice is for Graham Brown. Graham Brown, you are our winner.
Yay.
You won your choice of the socks that everyone seems to want, or the Photoshop pillow that I like, or if you're a vector kind of person, the Illustrator pillow. So Graham, congratulations. When they reach out to you and talk to you, which is probably happening right now, you can tell them which one you want, and that's what will be shipped to you.
Congrats.
Congrats, Graham.
So now I'm kind of tweaking one of the stuffs I did. I had like these scallop patterns, and I'm trying to make them more just like
Okay.
something else.
Mhm. Still in Photoshop.
Still in Photoshop, yeah.
Graham Brown is Team Pillow. The alliances are forming. Graham Brown, Team Pillow. Okay. Which one, though? Photoshop or Illustrator? All right, someone says not design related, but love your plugs. Are they wood?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, they are wood.
They're wood. Yeah. So it
Yeah,
looks wood
like
from
to
here.
keep them natural, not about the acrylic ones.
Graham's an AI guy, so Graham chose the AI pillow. Throw me a CC pillow. You got it, Graham. So if you missed your chance to win pillows or socks, you'll get another chance in the next segment. It's starting to almost feel leopardy to me.
I know. I'm gonna break away from that with the color change, hopefully.
Okay.
Or I might put this on a different shape.
I don't mind leopards. Leopards
You know,
are cool.
well, I was thinking, because I kind of like it too, but yesterday's one, which is somewhere down here, we kind of did a leopard thing. Yeah, well, a little bit. It wasn't, when this was black, it was kind of leopardy.
Yeah.
I also hate it when you can tell that like there's a pattern that's like super repeated.
Mm-hmm.
So makes it a little bit more challenging. Might have to make some more of those.
There's all kinds of laughing going on over there in the control room. I will have to find out what that's all about later. Tony says, I love the leopardy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, leopards are cool. What color preferences do you have for your designs? I guess
As
pretty much
colorful as possible.
The palette you have up there, yeah.
The whole spectrum. It also depends on the client, but since this is my personal stuff, I like to get pretty colorful.
Kathleen, you can't just say giggling over here. It's got to be about something. And by the way, Kathleen and Chantel will be up at the top of the hour for the next segment. So as we start to wind this one down in another 50 minutes or so, stay tuned because we're going to be doing this till 3 p.m. today, Pacific time. So Chantel Chan will be up next with Kathleen hosting. And then I'll be back at 1 p.m. Pacific time with Annie Hall to wrap up her day 3.
I can't believe this week's already over. It was so much fun.
It's always fun
Well,
when
it's
you're
not over
having,
yet,
It's fun
but-
when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So now, so this is going to be your second kind of patterny design.
Mm-hmm.
Would you use it in conjunction with the first one or replace the first one?
In conjunction with, but not on the same pieces. Like I'll probably use this. I want to have like multiple variations of the business card,
Okay.
so I'll probably just use it in another version. I think that's fun. Like whenever I meet people, my business cards now have a lot of patterns on the back of them, and I like let them choose which one they want, and it just
Gotcha.
adds a level of something to it.
That reminds me, let me check something real quick here. 21 minutes to get those menus in. Design challenge is wide open at this point. And I want to there. For those of you who are new to InDesign, one of the things we started over the past couple of 3-day streams, so last week and of course this week, we're starting to make them into a 3.5 day or a 3.1 day stream. So starting now on Mondays, before the 3-day streams, we will be doing kind of a primer on the application or applications that will be used in the 3-day stream. So this week on Monday, I did a primer on how to use Adobe InDesign for those of you who are new to InDesign. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for that, how to get started with InDesign so that you guys can go watch that replay after we're done today. And about 19 minutes left for the design challenge entries. And Eddie says, very entertaining to watch at work. We try. Here comes another menu. Don't look, don't look.
Excited to see these. Menus are like one of my favorite things to design. Just because there's so many like different layers to them.
I don't
Like,
think I've ever designed a menu, and I
No?
don't think I would be good at it. Because menus, like, they incorporate a lot of things in a small amount of space.
yeah, it's like heavy typography,
Right,
but you also have to
you also have to make
personality.
the imagery,
and,
right,
like,
personality, yeah.
yeah.
That would be that would be stepping outside my comfort zone. That'd be a challenge for me.
Cool.
Eddie, I'd be constantly getting hungry. Someone's saying, what's the app that Terry uses? Which app? If you're talking about the app we use to capture the brushes and the shapes, that was Adobe Capture CC for both iOS and Android. If you're talking about a different app, let me know which one you're talking about. Here's a good question. Because so when I'm teaching someone retouching on a photo,
Yeah.
the question will be, well, how do I know I'm finished? And I'll say, when you don't see anything else that bothers you. How do you know when you're done with the design?
When it feels right.
When it
I don't know. Yeah. When you're just like, yeah, that's good. Although I feel like everything could, if you don't cut yourself off, you could go on.
Yeah, because that's the
forever.
thing, especially in these applications, you could literally spend hours tweaking and massaging something. But at some point, you have to be done. So when is that point?
Yeah.
And
Never
good
comes.
answer, when it feels right.
Yeah.
And then there's always one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing. Wait, no, one more thing. Yeah, Caroline says, I think there has to be a point where you tell yourself you're done. Anita says, I never feel satisfied with my work. That's good. Actually, that means that because you can always see something else that you want to do. That's not a bad thing necessarily. Eddie says, never done. Yeah, you do have deadlines, so at some point.
Oh, yeah.
You do have to be done.
That could tell you when to finish.
That can tell
yeah.
you when you're finished, whether you're done or not. Personal projects, yeah, they can go on for forever. Chase, what's the temperature in Minneapolis today? It's always cold there.
Never been there.
Go in the summer.
Okay.
Summertime. And Aaron's here from Arizona. 25 degrees, Chase. That is
Ooh.
cold. It's freaking cold.
Yeah.
I think last time I checked Minneapolis, it was like 11.
Eesh. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Philly, and yesterday and today I've been like in the upper 70s. And I was like, how is it colder in California than it is in Philly?
Well, but you're in the Bay Area. It's typically cooler here than it is
okay.
in like LA or other places.
That makes sense.
It was a nice 75 in Atlanta yesterday.
That sounds nice.
It's rainy today.
That sounds nice too.
Yeah.
Nice rainy day.
Nice rainy, warm day.
Cool. One more shape.
And is it just random? Like,
Something will
Yeah,
call
the-
to my attention. Like the first one I did was these guys.
mm-hmm.
So then I wanted to do something different. So I did these ones. And then it's just kind of builds off of one another.
Cleveland was 70 and now it's 30 and snowing. Yeah, I'm kind of done with snow. I lived in snow most of my life.
Oh, really?
I grew up in Michigan.
Oh.
Now, I noticed the shapes are on a layer that's transparent, and you still have the white layer or background or layer behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so just so you can see it better?
Yep.
Yeah, versus the checkerboard pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes, recently after I got a full-time job and I started working 8 hours a day and staring at a computer screen for 8 hours a day, it started like really hurting my eyes.
Got it.
So, yeah, it's just like kind of hard to see. Had to get special glasses and everything.
All right, get those menus in. We got about 12 minutes left for the design challenge, restaurant menu. All right, got a suggestion from Arbor, make those blue.
Make these blue? That's a good suggestion. That's kind of what I was thinking.
All right. Orange and green.
Yeah, the blue looks nice. Although it is the one right above it kind of also has the blue in them. So let's try the orange. Although that one also has orange. See, this is when it gets hard. Whenever it's the last
Yeah,
one,
this last one.
and you have to like
you've
make
used
the system
everything,
right. Yeah.
Now, would you ever take the colors that you have in the swatches
Mm-hmm.
and tweak them at this point?
No.
Like to make so that's it. The
Now
colors
that
are
it's
the
already
rule.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I did, I could. If I wasn't feeling it, but then I'd have to go back and change everything and
Oh, yeah.
update it all.
Got it.
Yeah.
One of each. You haven't used green, Carolyn said.
See, I just tried the green, and it was this green. There's like,
And then she says it might be too close though.
yep, exactly. I think I'm gonna stick with black. Cool. This is called, whoa, what is Pixar? My bad. There we go.
At least you and I are consistent. We save at the very end.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
If you ever want to know what it's like to start a project over again from scratch, just don't save it. Just wait till something happens, and then when you have to do it all over again, you'll learn.
That happened to me my very first day on my real job. Like I had to make like 5 logos by the end of the day, which is kind of a ridiculous thing to do. But yeah, I was an illustrator, and it crashed on me at like 3 p.m. and I lost everything, and I had to like totally make everything again. So I had to make 5 logos in like 2 hours.
The first time I got a crash, like many years ago, I remember just sitting there and I was like in tears because I had not saved a single thing and I had to work for hours on it.
Yeah.
And it's just never fun.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go back.
And
to
Kevin,
InDesign.
thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
Oops.
Caroline says she saves every time she makes a change, which is excessive, but hey, you don't have to worry about losing anything besides the last change.
Yeah, it's a smart way to do it.
I mean, most of the programs now have crash recovery, which is great. So, like InDesign has had it for years, where even if you hadn't never saved and crashed and opened InDesign back up, usually your untitled last, mini save document will still be there. But it's not something I recommend relying on. It's always better to save and be in control of your own versioning that way. Do as I say, not as I do. 8 minutes left on the design challenge. You don't have a ton of entries, at least from what I'm seeing at this point. Is that right, Gus? Just 2, okay.
Oh man.
It's gonna be a real easy win for one of you.
Yeah.
You don't have as much competition today. Oh my God, Daryl says, I had a corrupted file of a 250-page manual. I ended up having to do the whole thing again. That was 10 years ago. Yep, that'll teach you to save, back up, everything. And as I've said for many years, there are 2 types of computer users: those who have lost something and those who are about to. So just save, save. So, sorry to ask, but is there a way to see what's outside the canvas in Photoshop?
Yeah, is there?
See what's outside the canvas. You meaning
Like outside
if
the artboard? Like how in InDesign you can see outside.
Yeah. So those shapes that extend off, is there a way to see that? Not that I know of. Let me think.
It would be nice, because sometimes I need to see out there too.
Let me see. I don't think so, but let me. You're making me curious now. Because I don't think that, like, for example, if you paint outside the canvas, it's really not there because it doesn't start until it touches the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you have a shape like that outside the canvas, you're in InDesign now.
Yeah. I can go
Is
back.
there a way to see that? No. I'm just.
Oh, okay.
I'm just talking out loud to myself.
Okay.
Is there a way to see? I don't know that there is. So, Kevin, I don't know that there is a way to see it. If it's something you're cropping, of course, bringing the crop tool back up will show it to you. But if it's something that's literally off the canvas itself, I don't know if there's a way to see it without moving it into the canvas. Yeah, Arbor says hit the crop tool. That's the only thing I can think of as well. Kevin, you've seen it done somewhere before? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on that one. I can't think of a way to do it, but if you've seen a way to do it, I believe you. And like I said, the only thing I can think of is the crop tool will still show you what's outside the canvas. But other than that, I don't know of another way. Yeah, if you've used Artboards, right, you can still see what's outside of an artboard. But if you didn't use Artboards, I don't know of another way to do that.
Aren't artboards pretty new to Photoshop?
Artboards are pretty new to Photoshop.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So Illustrator got them first because there was a long-standing request for Illustrator users for many years to have multiple pages. So that got implemented as Artboards, and then Photoshop got it.
How do you do that?
How do you make Artboards?
Yeah.
So go to hold down your Move tool.
This guy?
Mm-hmm. No, hold it down actually in the tool panel.
Oh.
And that will give you the Artboard tool. And then you can drag out a new artboard. And then if you want that artboard to be a specific size, you can go and customize the size or choose a preset.
Wow. Oh, wow. And they got all this stuff already
got all this stuff
here.
already in there for people that are designing.
You guys thought of everything.
Not everything. Gotta have some room for more things later.
Yeah. Very true.
4 more minutes for the design challenge. 4 minutes. Oh, I see another couple entries popped in. Hold on.
Yay.
It just got a little harder to win. All right, looking good.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions on how I did
All
the
right,
collage or
so,
anything
well,
like that?
Kevin's asking,
Oh,
we got artboard questions now, so hang on for a second. Let me switch over to artboards and give you that quick primer on this. Paco, can you switch to me for a sec? So, artboards can be created one of two ways, either when you're in an existing document or when you're creating a document from scratch. So if I were to say, give me a new document, that will give me the ability, of course, to make it whatever size I want. So let's say I'm starting out with a 4x5, and if I check the artboard box, then that's going to say that, hey, this document's going to start with artboard. So if I create one, it's going to say that this is now artboard 1. And if I want more artboards, I can use the artboard tool. Now I've separated the artboard tool out because I created a custom tool panel. Normally the artboard tool is underneath the move tool. But when you click the artboard tool, you can say, hey, that one artboard's great, but I need a new one. So just like we were doing in InDesign when we had multiple pages at different sizes, so I can say that this one's going to be 3.5 inches and by 2 inches for a business card. And this one's going to be, what did we say an envelope was? 9.5 inches.
4.125.
9.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and that will create it. So now I've got my artboard for my envelope, my artboard for my business card, my artboard for whatever my 4x5 is. And if you drag out another artboard and you say, well, I just want this one to be 8.5 by 11, you have presets as well. So I can say that I want this one. I don't know if there is a print size. Let's see, maybe not. These are all designs for devices, so I guess I'll have to do it the hard way. Let's go ahead and make it 8.5 inches versus 11, not 1100. Sorry about that. 11 inches. There we go. So that will become my 8.5. Now, if I zoom out, you can also use the artboard tool to move your artboards around. You can put them in any order you want, any stacking you want. They will have smart guides to help you align them. And now you will have artboards in the layers panel, and whatever you put on those artboards will be grouped in those artboard layers.
Oh.
So artboards are awesome. All right, back to you.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So someone had a question. I just missed it. Oh. If you want to get a transparent background with a new document, just open up a new Photoshop and then double click the background and make it a new layer, or a layer 0, and then delete it. Right? That's what I do.
You're doing it the hard way.
Is it? Oh no.
Let's keep going. Back to me, Paco, for a second. All right, couple ways. And again, when I say doing it the hard way, we learn things that we use over and over again all day long. So that's the way Ronnie's done it for years. And it still works. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times when the newer versions come out, we take things that people have been doing, like multiple steps, and try and turn it into 1 or 2 steps to make it easier. So for example, the question was, if I'm making a new document, can I just have it be transparent right off the bat? And the answer is yes. If you scroll down, you can just simply say transparent.
There you
and
go.
That's one way. And that will give you a transparent document. But let's say you didn't do that. Let's say you created the new document and you didn't say transparent because you forgot. The other way is that, oh, I'm sorry, I had Artboards. Hang on, one more thing. Let me turn off Artboards. There we go. So I just want to basically make a traditional background like I always would have. You can just, before you would double click to make this a layer, and I can just simply click the lock, and that will unlock it and turn it into a layer. So then you can just take the color out to make it transparent. So it's easier to start with transparency, but you can easily turn something into transparent as well. All right, back to you.
Oh, they hit the deadline.
They hit the deadline. It is that time. All right, let me get the entries up, and we will take a look at them in a couple seconds. Just go ahead and stall for me.
Okay. All right.
Let me make sure I get them all open.
How many did we get?
Not a ton, but we got a decent amount.
Ooh, that's nice.
Stop peeking.
Sorry.
Total
8.
8. Let me make sure I got 8 things open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But this one's a duplicate, so I must be missing one. Nope, that's the same duplicate, so it must be this one. Okay, I keep getting, you sure it's 8? Are the last 2 the same? Nope, I got it. I got it this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're ready.
Cool.
All right, here we go. Food menu, fancy slogan here.
This is nice. Nice colors.
Looks like a very expensive restaurant.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
Not heavy graphics, just
everything's named the same.
names.
Everything's
Right.
free. I
Everything's
love
free,
it.
right.
So maybe
Well,
it's not expensive.
not expensive at all. Didn't have a lot of budget. All right. All right, so
I
that's
do
one.
really like the pink though.
Okay.
This is cool.
All
Nice. Yeah,
right.
I really like that.
I'm going to use my control tab to switch. All right,
Very
two-pager.
cool. This is funny.
Annie would love this.
Man, people have great imaginations. Ooh, that's nice.
I don't know is that part of it though? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. So
Very, yeah, modern looking,
Mhm.
very expensive looking. I like it.
cool. What does Bavande mean? Who knows?
They probably know. I
Yeah.
don't know. All right. This is a one-pager. Actually, one spread with
Yeah.
2 pages on it.
I like it.
Ronnie sides, Ronnie dogs, Alley appetite. They're kind of catering to the judge,
Yeah, they might be.
just a little. All right, and this is another one-pager.
Hors d'oeuvres. Nice.
Hors d'oeuvres for dinner. I like that concept.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Won't get too full.
right.
Oh, this is nice. Nice typography.
Very nice as far as a mock-up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. That one makes you laugh.
Yeah.
5,
This one was nice.
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Co one, which I
The
think
Co
is the
one, which
second
is this one?
Yeah.
Yep. That's the winner.
Yep. Very fun.
All
Nice
right.
typography. Yeah.
We have our winner, and Gus will tell us who that is. That submitted the Co one. I think that was one of the more recent ones that popped in. Lucian for us.
Again?
Again?
Is that the guy from the first day? That's cool. Maybe. Unless it's a different Lucian. Oh, just kidding. Different Lucian.
Different Lucian. I think you just like the name Lucian. No, because you picked it, so you didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations.
Cool,
You just won
congrats.
a year of Creative Cloud. So great designs all the way around. We love them. But we have our winner, the Co-Restaurant.
Yeah.
So we've got about 20 minutes left in this segment with Ronnie, and then Chantel will be up with Kathleen hosting at the top of the hour, and then I'll be back at 1 o'clock with Annie Hall.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Guess I could start mocking this stuff up
You can?
for the internet. Yeah. If people know how to do that, then cool. If they don't, you'll learn.
No, I enjoy watching people mock up. That's,
Really?
Yeah, that's
Cool.
one of my favorite things to see.
I actually like
What
to go
people come
pretty
up with.
in depth with it.
Go
So,
for it.
Yeah. Need to see. Let's look at these business card options. I used that one last time. What's this one? This one's gonna be nice. Cool. So let me close out of this stuff.
So, and again, kind of walk us through it. Like, okay, you pulled that up, but where did that come from?
This came from, there's a website called Pixiden, which is a great resource. Their mockups look fantastic.
Okay.
Like you can get they're huge files, which is awesome too, but like the papers are already textured and they just look like really photorealistic. So
And
I like to
here
use
I am
them.
thinking, you're using Photoshop 3D and tilting and putting shadows in and do it all yourself. Nope.
Nope, I don't know how to do that.
Templates. This is also a good time for me to plug Adobe Dimension. So Adobe Dimension is a fairly new CC product for doing this type of mock-up work where you can take a photograph of something and then put your own thing into the photo and orient it in 3D and get it to basically become a product in there. At some point, we'll probably maybe do a stream where we include Adobe Dimension and talk about how that product works.
Yeah, I just heard about that the other day.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to put you on the spot and make you use it
yeah,
today.
I would like to use it. I need to learn how to first, but
Yeah, but that's what Adobe Dimension is for. So if you want to do this kind of work with your own, not using a template, using your own custom photos or photos from stock and then incorporating your designs into them, that's what Adobe Dimension is. One of the things Adobe Dimension does. And people are asking the URL again. Let me see if I can pull that site up. What was it? The one you used?
Pixeden, Pixeden.
EDEN.com. Pixeden.com.
I believe that's it.
Let's see if it comes up first.
Yep.
Yep, okay. I'll give people your choice as well. Jason says, would love to see a demo on Adobe Dimension. Yeah, I've done a video on it. Let me just go back and see. And I saw Victoria Pavlov in the chat earlier. She's done several videos on Adobe Dimension as well.
Oh. Cool. So, which ones do I want to start with? Let's do this one. Oh man. Okay, got a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know if there's a multiple page PDF, if I can, and I want to place like the third one in there on something? Is there a way to do that?
And
Like if I just drag.
InDesign there is.
Well, that's good to know.
I don't know. I'm thinking there's a way to do it in
Oh,
Photoshop.
it just comes up. It's like, which one do you want?
Yeah. there you
Cool. All right. Sweet.
go. I love it when you answer your own.
I know, right?
All right, here's my last stream on Adobe Dimensions. So you guys can go back and see what that product's all about. All right, so that should whet your appetite for Adobe Dimension until we make it part of a live stream, which I think we've done that in the past as well, but I can't remember when that was.
Uh-oh.
Larry, you missed the giveaways. We did do them today.
Maybe crashing.
Oh, spinning ball.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah,
there we
it did
go.
It just said, wait a minute. Wait a minute, man. I'll catch up.
Oh, wait, what happened? That's weird.
I saw it
Let
come
me
in.
try that again. Okay,
There it is. Yep, okay.
cool.
Did you hit enter the last time?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh, I
if you
probably
didn't
didn't.
hit enter, then it went away. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So those are smart objects, and you're just replacing them with your content.
Mm-hmm.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, with the Pixel files too, they like make it really easy to figure out. Like it says, put your design here,
Yeah.
and yeah. Is that this one? Yeah. So I don't want all of these to look like this, but since the smart objects are like linked together, I'll rasterize the ones that I do want like that, and then go in and change the other ones.
Larry says that's pretty cool. I agree. That's pretty awesome.
And then also we were talking about maybe, is it debossing or embossing?
Embossing.
Embossing some of the backs
The colors,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
color
I'll
backgrounds.
make it look like that. So if I were to do it, it could be a thing. So rasterize it, or actually, let me duplicate it and then rasterize it. So I can quick select everything that's black, or I guess everything that's red, and then invert it. Command J. Oh wait, nope. Shift I. Command J.
And in 17 minutes, Chantel will be here. What will you be doing? What are you finishing up with?
Nice.
Very nice.
Oops.
I'm not going to tell you what she said. You'll have to see. So you have to wait. She told me, but you couldn't hear it. That means you got to come back and watch, or stay tuned.
That's too much. Maybe something like that. Does this look realistic at all? Maybe a little bit.
Well, it depends, because you're going to show it in context on the actual card. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it does look embossed.
Yeah. Maybe like a 1 pixel.
Yeah, the question is, how will it look small on the card, though?
Yeah. Good enough for now. That actually looks relatively real.
Relatively embossy.
Yeah. Let me copy that layer style so I can use it on the other ones.
Layer styles can also now be added to CC libraries.
Good to know.
So you can always just drag them right in and use them again, or click on them right again, use them again, over and over. Every time I say use CC library, Ronnie gets a nickel. So, we're just contributing to his fund.
Yeah. Okay, this one. So let's change this color to one of my other themes. That's fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of like hurting my eyes a little bit to look
Well,
at, but it's
I'm
cool.
not a fan of green, but that caught my eye right away.
You're not a fan of green?
I'm not a fan of green, but that, I could go with that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But maybe we'll keep that for the future.
Victor says, gorgeous card.
Thank you.
All right, we got about 9 minutes left in this segment. So Ronnie's finishing up, mocking up his designs in business cards, and so they actually look like the real product sitting on a table, which is very cool.
To an extent.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Better than just seeing the flat art on the screen.
Yeah, having it in context is always nice.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this.
And then also, if I had like a photography studio, I would much rather have like actual real life like photographs of this stuff.
Yep.
Not to hate on mockups at all. I use mockups all the time, but
Well, see, that's the way I don't do the mockups. I would actually shoot it.
Yeah.
You know, as a photographer, I would photograph the stuff.
yeah, and there's some really awesome like graphic design product shot people.
Yes.
Like they can do some like the compositions of the stuff that they lay out and stuff.
I forgot who
it's
said
like,
it, but
does
someone
that?
said the green and red hurt my eyes.
I said the same thing.
Green really hurts my eyes. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of the green, but the way you used it did catch my eye. In a good way.
Where is this guy? Cool. Rasterize that.
All right, got about 7 minutes.
This guy.
I love the color, but I have to look away.
Oh, this is cute too. Maybe I should do this.
All right, hang on one second. Here.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hi.
Nice to sit next to you for the first time.
Yeah, how are you?
Good.
I've always seen you in the background.
What's up, chat? How's it going? Terry disapparated, so.
Oh, whoa. Dude, this libraries thing is blowing my mind.
Is this your first time using it?
Yeah. And like I can just click these things while clicking on that and it just like changes it to it. That's awesome.
Thanks, Adobe.
Yeah, thank you, Adobe.
What's up, Ivan? How you doing? Miss Laple. What's up, you Joe? All right, so this is what it feels like to be streaming with Ronnie. Pretty chill vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sad that it's your last day?
Yes, I am. This has been such a awesome visit and everything's been great. Good. Yeah.
You recommend it?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel like live streaming is scary for a lot of people.
It was terrifying the first day.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Chantal, what do you think? Was it scary the first day? Yeah.
Well, not until like right when you're on camera, it's fine. But like,
Mm-hmm.
right before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You get in the groove though.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So you're finishing up
Mm-hmm.
with what you've been working on the last few
Yeah.
days.
So since I made this mock-up, it's obviously not real life, and this reflection isn't really what that is.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see what I can do to alleviate that.
Yeah,
Or
that's
maybe just
interesting.
hide it
Mhm.
and not have a reflection.
Yeah, no need. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like a really shiny surface.
I know, yeah.
So, what's up, Kathy? How you doing, Amanda? What's up? Miriam, where do you get some tutorials on how to make your own mock-ups? Any tips?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I just dove right in and tried to teach myself, but I know
Good answer.
Skillshare is great at teaching you anything.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
could
Yeah.
recommend Skillshare.
All right, here I go.
All right.
Cool. So I finished up this mock-up,
Very cool.
and it'll go in my portfolio. Once I tweak the design for 5 more months, but yeah.
Now, will
Good
it be an
starting point.
addition or replacement?
I'll keep my old branding stuff around, but I'll just like differentiate that this is a newness. I don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this is a new folder. Keep my stuff very organized. Organization is key.
All right, so we got about 4 minutes left as Ronnie's wrapping this up. And we're going to say goodbye to Ronnie for the day. So any last minute questions for Ronnie in these last 4 minutes?
I'm sad to leave.
And stay tuned. At the top of the hour, Chantel will be up, and we will be doing another design challenge as well as another giveaway during her segment. Yolanda says, thank you, Ronnie. I've learned so much.
Awesome. Good. Thank you guys
Everyone's
for
thanking you.
tuning in. Oh my god, you guys are so sweet. What's next for me? Going home, sleeping. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Trying to ride the wave of how awesome this week has been, I guess. Staying inspired and making more projects.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And where would you like to direct people to follow you or your work?
I am on Instagram at Ronnie Alley Design. You can also follow me on Behance at Ronnie Alley Design. Yeah, that's about it, I think. You can always check out my website.
I think those two would
Ronnie
probably
Alley
be the best
Design.
places. Your Instagram
Instagram,
and Behance,
Behance,
because where
yeah.
you're always going to be uploading new stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I usually keep my Instagram more populated than my Behance. I try to update it at least once or twice a week. So
Very cool. And
Yeah.
Adobe Live has already put in all the links for you.
thanks, Rich. Cool.
All right, 2 minutes left. What was your favorite thing of the week?
Favorite thing of
Like
the week?
what popped for you in your work this week?
Your suggestion of doing this half collage on the side.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I really like it. It's definitely cool. Attention grabbing. Yeah, if we go back to my adjectives that we started out with,
Mm-hmm.
clean, simple, impact, refined, colorful, systematic, exciting, and fresh. Yeah, I definitely think with that it has impact and everything.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I see how you incorporated the second one. Or was that
Yeah,
the second one or just scroll?
that is the second one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathleen.
Yeah, and if you want to just, in these last couple of minutes, kind of just step back through some
Okay.
of the things that you've shown this week, just
Okay.
to walk through them in the
Yeah.
last 2 minutes for people that either weren't here or need the refresher, just show them what you created this week.
Mm-hmm. So this is what we started with. This is all I had was a mood board, some colors I pulled from the mood board, and a list of adjectives that I gave myself for the brand to embody, the brand being me. And then I had some initial sketchy type of things. I guess it would be considered a sketch, even though it's like a digital sketch. Using some of the fonts that I'm really into right now. I kind of am really into the trend of extended Gothic typefaces, so that's where I wanted to start with. And then from there, we did some preliminary business card designs, and then a final logo, which there was a lot of talk about, which of these was
Which
best.
one of those was best?
Yeah. Ended up going with this one here.
All right. And that's pretty much it for our time. We
Yeah.
are
Made all
gonna
this
head
stuff.
out and take a quick break, and Chantel and Kathleen will be up next. Thank you everyone for watching. Ronnie,
Yes.
you rocked it this week.
Thank you. Thank you,
and
guys.
we will be back, or I'll be back at least at 1 p.m. Pacific, and stay tuned for Chantel. Bye everybody.
Cool. Thanks, guys.